YouTubers. My name is Lashayna. I just wanted to make a video about losing a child through birth, like infant loss, and TTC journey, like the TTC journey, trying to conceive again. I know there's a lot of ladies out there that have lost a child, whether it be miscarriage, stillborn, birth, or possibly having an infant where you possibly lost them from SIDS. A lot of women don't really talk about it because it's kind of a taboo subject maybe, or it's like really uncomfortable for them to talk about. So I just kind of wanted to share my story. For me, it's kind of therapeutic because I haven't really talked to many people about it, and I know when it happened to me last year, I really didn't have that many outlets. So I just wanted to give you guys my story and kind of how I got through it. Okay, so I guess I'll start with how I found out I was pregnant. So if you see me glancing down, it's because I took notes because I'm new to everything and I just feel like I don't want to ramble. Well, I found out I was pregnant last year in April. I want to say it was like about a week before May, because I think I officially found out May 5th. So I was actually 8 weeks pregnant when I found out that I was pregnant. I was actually going to the doctor for birth control when I took a pregnancy test. The pregnancy test was negative, and so the doctor was like, okay, well, here's your prescription. Whenever your next cycle starts, you begin your birth control. So I was like, okay. So March came around and I didn't see a cycle. So knowing that my cycles are irregular, because I do have irregular cycles, not to the point where they skip months, but it'll be a little longer. Like I go into 34, 35 day cycles, sometimes 40. So come April, I was like, okay, I called my doctor. I'm like, I haven't started a cycle. So he was like, okay, well, we're gonna bring you back in, do another test. Well, I did a test, it was negative. So the doctor gave me something called Prevera. I don't know if you ladies know about it, but it's like a hormone used to induce your periods or your cycles or whatever. So took it. I had to take it for 5 days. The doctor, the nurse practitioner was like, well, after the 5th day, a few days after that, you should see a cycle. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Took it, never thinking I was pregnant. Like, you guys, it never crossed my mind. So I took the medicine for the 5 days. A few days later, still no cycle. So I called her back. This had to be like the 3rd week, going into the 4th week of April. And she was like, well, that's kind of weird. And I'm like, okay. Well, she was like, well, come in and take a test. So I was like, okay. She was like, but you can take one at home first if it makes you feel any better. So I'm like, okay. Took the test at home, seen 2 lines. I was bawling. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was so scared because I'm like, it really never crossed my mind. And like, I'm freaking out because I'm like, I just took medicines to make, my cycle start. So I didn't know if that would, affect my child or not. I didn't know what to do. I was like a wreck. So I ended up going to the doctor the next day, and they did an ultrasound this time instead of the test. And there was the fetus. Like, it was heartbeat just going. I was like, okay, well, I guess this is real. I waited till I was 12 weeks to tell everybody else because I just kind of wanted to get over the hump of everything. So I told everyone and everything like that, and we were getting ready for a baby. So those weeks in between finding out officially and then telling everyone was kind of nerve-wracking because I didn't know what to expect. I had actually 3 other friends of mine were pregnant at the same time. So I told them, of course, and everybody was excited. So it wasn't like I was getting any negative feedback from any of my family or friends. It was just, it was a shock, especially for me. So, okay, 20-week scan, I found out what I was having. Well, I lied. I'm one of those impulsive people where I just could not wait until my 20-week scan. So down here in Louisiana, I stay in the greater New Orleans area. I found a place where they can do a 3D scan. I'm sure they might have places like that, like in other states and cities and stuff. I found a place to do a 3D scan after my 16 weeks, and I was able to find out at 16 weeks. So I knew at 16 weeks that I was having a boy. So my 20-week scan came about. The doctors did everything, took my measurements, measured him, everything like that. Everything checked out fine. Okay, next doctor appointment, everything checked out fine. Okay. Coming around the bend to my 27 weeks. Okay, so I at the time was working a job where I was working 12-hour rotating shifts. So I would work 2 or 3 days on day shift, and then I'll skip a few days and I work 2 or 3 days on night shift depending on the week. Okay, but this particular day I was on days. So I should have been asleep, but one of my pregnancy symptoms that I personally feel were very, very different from everybody else, I actually had extreme insomnia. Like, I could not sleep. That was when he was most active. I couldn't sleep for nothing. So I was up as usual. It's like 3:30 in the morning. I felt like I had to use the restroom. So I went to use the restroom. I, constantly having to pee every 2 minutes when you're pregnant, and coming around the bend, heading toward the third trimester, you're kind of getting a little bigger. The baby's getting a little bigger, So I was getting up to go use the restroom or whatever. I went to use the restroom, came back, got in the bed. And then I felt a gush of fluids. Like, this is about to be TMI, so if you're easily disturbed, it's TMI. I felt a gush of fluids when I laid down. I'm like, oh my God, I know I just used the restroom. Like, did I pee on myself? Oh my God. And like, I went back to the bathroom and it was just like blood gushing. Like, gushing blood. Like, not clots, but just flowing like everywhere. I freaked out. I'm screaming. Like, my boyfriend was asleep. I called for him. I'm like, we have to go to the hospital. We have to go to the hospital. So, he got up and we went to the hospital. Like, I'm crying on the way down there or whatever. I get to the hospital. I get admitted. They called in. It was it was weird for me. I was already panicked, and then it's in the middle of the night, I guess. So they had to actually call someone in to do a ultrasound or look for a heartbeat. They couldn't give me any pain medicines because they didn't want to give me anything, and then I still had, like, my baby was fine in there. They didn't want to do anything that would affect the baby. So I had to wait for the on-call person to come in, which didn't really help my anxiety much. At first when the bleeding started when I was at home, I didn't have any pain, but from where I was living at the time to the hospital, my hospital where I was actually about a 30 or 45 minute drive, but the closest hospital to me was about 20 minutes. So I went there because I was just panicked. I didn't know what was going on. So we went there when the on-call lady came. She took an ultrasound, seeing him, but then she went in with the Doppler to find the heartbeat, and couldn't find the heartbeat. So at that moment, like, me and my boyfriend were upset, like, we were crying, everything. Like, the nurse let me know that I was having something called placenta abruption, which is where my placenta detached from the wall of my uterus and my baby lost oxygen inside. And it was caused by my blood pressure spiking. Like, I think my blood pressure was like 200 and something over 1 something. Like, it was extremely high. Like, they were like scared that I was going to have a stroke. And like, me not knowing that this was happening, I wasn't doing anything strenuous. I was literally laying in bed. It's like 4 a.m. at this point. I didn't know what was going on. So that happened, and like, basically after that they gave me an epidural because I was in labor. I was actually 4 centimeters, but because my son was like really high up in my stomach, I don't know if he was in distress, like, when everything was happening, so he kind of balled up really high up in my stomach. So they moved me to a labor and delivery room. They gave me some Pitocin to try to get me to have a natural birth, like, let me have him vaginally. About a couple of hours went by. I was still bleeding, not as much as I was initially, but I was still bleeding out. The doctor came in and she was like, we can't let you keep bleeding like this, so we have to do an emergency C-section. So I actually had to have an emergency C-section. I was 27 weeks. My son was born, he was 15 inches, and he was 1.6 pounds. I fell in love instantly. Obviously, I was very, very heartbroken that all of that was going on. That was August 23rd. When this vlog goes up, it will be August 23rd of this year. Actually, his birthday is tomorrow. It's the day before, and I felt like I wanted to try to record it and have it out for his birthday because I know I'm going to be an emotional wreck tomorrow. As much as I'm going to try not to be, I know that I will be. So, and we spent time with him in the hospital. The hospital was very, very nice to me. Like, everyone there, the doctors, the nurses, everyone was very nice. It was just very traumatic, like, and that was my first child. It was my boyfriend's third. He actually has 2 daughters from a previous relationship, and it was his first son. So we were all a mess, He was gorgeous. He was everything that I could have dreamed for him to be. It still is kind of emotional. Like, I'm not gonna say kind, it's extremely emotional. Like, sometimes I catch myself thinking that, you know, I'm able to kind of cope with everything that went on, and then I have moments where friends that were pregnant with me, I see them and their children, because we all actually were pregnant with boys at the time, and I just like wish that my son was here, but I know that he is in a better place. So I try not to get too depressed, you know. I mean, so after that, we spent about 4 days in the hospital. The doctor actually told me that I could have my son, like they had him in the incubator, they had him dressed, he had a cute little, it was like a white gown. I actually have it here to show you guys. They actually gave me a box of his keepsakes. This is the box, and it has like a beautiful little poem on it. I keep it at the top of my closet, like I don't want anyone to touch it. This is the thing that they put all of his belongings in. They had him in a little dress. It was this little dress, and he had these on his feet. It was like little, no, it was on his hands. It was on his little hands, and they had this, and he had this hat on. He was just so perfect. They gave me keepsakes. They gave me this. It's a Christmas ornament. Of course, I did not put it on a Christmas tree because I would die if it fell off and broke. I would die, like literally die. They gave me a cat, like a little mold of his foot. It's just this. I don't know if you guys can see it. This little foot. They gave me everything that I can try to keep, you know, in remembrance. But it, honestly, whether or not I had these things, I would never have forgotten those moments. Like, I didn't have any complications from the C-section, but my pressure was still high. Like, I was still upset. I was still crying a lot. The doctor told me that I can keep my baby in the room with me the whole time I was there, but I only wanted to keep him there for the 2 days. Like the first day, I was really in and out of it. I was on a lot of pain medications, a lot of pressure medications. I was still bleeding a little bit. So I really wasn't like all in, but I do know the second day I spent all day with him. I held him, I took pictures, like I looked at him, had him swaddled, and me and my family and his family were there. We just sat by him. We all, you know, kind of took pictures and stuff like that. And I told the doctor that I actually wanted them to take him because I didn't want to get attached knowing that I would not be able to bring him home. So it was like heartbreaking to see him leave, but I had to because I knew I would want to bring him home and I couldn't. So after they kind of got my pressure under control, they let me go home. So I went home on like a Friday. We made arrangements to have him cremated. The cremation took place, and they actually had like a 90%. They had like a 90% off thing where, because it was, I guess it was an unexpected death. It was an infant death, so we had like an extreme discount. We were very blessed and grateful for that. I actually picked out a heart urn. He has a heart urn. I bought it to show you guys. I mean, I hope I'm not making anyone uncomfortable, but I just want to be as transparent as I can about the situation. This is his urn with his remains in there. I keep it on my bedside along with a little block that a friend of mine got made from Etsy with his name and like his date of birth, and I think his weight and all of that is on there, but I keep it with the face that has his name showing, and I have my urn sitting on top. So he's always close to me. First thing I see and the last thing I see every day. Like I think about my baby every day, and I just wanted to, you know, let you guys know that it may seem hard in the beginning, but I can guarantee you it will get better. You will never forget your child. No one is ever supposed to make you feel like you should forget your child, because I went through a phase of depression where I felt like I should stop crying about it, because, you know, initially when you lose someone, everybody is always there and everybody wants to be there and like physically and like spiritually and things like that for you. But then as the days go on, that support kind of dwindles down, and then you're kind of left with just you. And that's kind of how I was. So I felt like I was supposed to just get over it. Like, that's it, get over it. And it was not that easy, you know, but as the time went on, like I said, it will get easier. You're going to always have your moments, and you are allowed to have those moments. Don't let anyone take those moments away from you, because they are very necessary for your healing and your coping, you know. I guess I can end this video with saying that I'll be back with more updates on my TTC journey. And if you have any questions, you can leave them down below and I'll try my best to answer. Hit the subscribe button to let you know when I have another video coming out. Hopefully you like the first video.